Hello everyone and welcome to a new year and a new season of Mountain Lake Journal. I'm Tom Halleck. We hope you had a happy new year. This week, New York Governor Kathy Hochul will be laying out some of her priorities for the 2025 legislative session that'll be part of her State of the State address that she'll be delivering to lawmakers coming up on January 14th.
Today marks the next chapter in my fight to make New York more affordable and directly help you and your families.
The governor will call on lawmakers to give New Yorkers a tax refund of up to $500. Her State of the State address will also call for a statewide ban on cell phones in schools for most students. This week, Assemblyman Billy Jones joins us to talk about the new session getting underway in Albany and the likely race for Northern New York's seat in Congress. And North Country Assemblyman Billy Jones is with us now. It's good to see you. Welcome back.
Good to see you as well.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you.
The Governor's State of the State coming up in just a couple of weeks on January 14th. We'll talk about her proposals and priorities and yours as well in just a moment. But why don't we start with what will likely be one of the biggest political stories of this new year, and that's the open seat in Congress. If Congresswoman Stefanik is confirmed to be the next U.S. ambassador at the United Nations, then a special election will be held to fill her seat. Lots of speculation who may be interested in running for the New York 21 seat. You said a few weeks ago when the Congresswoman was first nominated that running for Congress is something you would give serious thought and that you were considering. Where are you on it now?
Still in the process, Tom. Talking to a lot of people about it, talking to my family about it, and we'll have a decision very shortly on it.
And talking to party chairs?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well?
Yes, they play an integral part in this whole process, and certainly chatting with them. And there is a process that has to happen, and it should happen. And we'll see where we are in a little bit on that.
You are considering it, as you said.
You know what? I tell people all the time, I'm certainly happy with my job here in the New York State Assembly. Love representing the 115th here in the North Country, but it is something to think about.
Meantime, you're getting ready to head to Albany in a couple of weeks for the beginning of the new session. Governor Hochul is going to deliver her fourth State of the State address. She's put out a few items she plans to include. Her first proposal, a tax refund for millions of New Yorkers. She's calling it the inflation refund that would return about $3 billion in sales tax revenue. Families that make under $300,000 would get a $500 payment, and individuals who make less than $150,000 would get a $300 payment. What are your thoughts on this? Good idea?
I think it's something we have to consider. I think people want to see money put back in their pockets. Certainly, we'll have that process that works out with the legislature. We'll get our say in this as well. I think in this last election that you saw, affordability was the number one issue. When we talk about the economy, yes, we saw the stock market doing well. We saw all these other factors. But when people are sitting around their kitchen table and discussing paying their bills, seeing what they have, seeing if they have a little bit extra to take that family vacation, seeing if they're just scraping by to pay their bills, their energy costs and such, that is something we have to tackle. Anytime we can put money back in their pockets, I think we have to seriously consider it.
The governor also planning to call on new lawmakers to adopt a statewide policy banning cell phones and tablets and smart devices from school classrooms. She's been talking about this for about a year now. Is this a necessary step, given how distracted it seems kids are in the classroom, what we're hearing from teachers? In
talking to teachers, and talking to administrators, and talking to parents, I think there was a little bit of pushback from parents at first on this, but yes, we need to get the distractions out of the classroom. Can you imagine being in a classroom trying to make sure all the distractions are out of the way, that our children can actually learn? I think we need to return to that, and I think it's a policy that is wanted by a lot of people.
Foundation aid, the governor says she won't propose cutting the hold harmless policy that has kept aid to schools consistent year after year, that prevented school districts from facing severe cuts in state aid. Is that a huge relief for school districts, especially a number up here in the North Country that potentially could have seen significant cuts in their aid?
It is. It's a relief, but now we have to wait to see what direction she wants to go in other areas, because the foundation aid formula, as you know, is a large, complicated formula to a lot of people, and we'll see we still want, foundation aid is what our school districts depend on to operate. We still want to see their needs being met. So we'll have to see where it goes. I'm sure we'll get more of an indicator on our state of the state here in a week or so. But it's good that she's taking that policy off, because we know there won't be a reduction, or there shouldn't be a reduction in some of our school districts. But I think what our school districts are asking for is consistency and equitability, to be equal and to be consistent with the state funding, and we need to do that for them.
The Rockefeller Foundation doing a study looking at it. Are you anticipating that the legislature may be called on to make changes in foundation aid, how the system works, how the money is doled out?
Well, we have heard from the governor that there will be changes, and obviously we put that study in the budget last year so we can make sure that it is equitable and that they're funded with the resources that they need, and we'll have to see where it ends up.
What are your priorities for the session?
Affordability for our residents, and we can talk about all kinds of things. We talk about affordable housing a lot. I always put it in housing affordability. We need to make sure that people still have that American dream, that they want to be able to buy a home and that they can afford that. A lot goes into that. Transportation, child care, all these things that are the basic fundamental issues in government, to make sure that we make it affordable for families. That should be our priority.
As chair of the New York-Canada Relations Task Force, you must be concerned when you hear that President-elect Trump is proposing a 25% tariff on every import coming in from Canada. Are you worried about what impact that could have on U.S.-Canada relations and trade relations?
Absolutely. It's a big issue. I don't know if people realize how big of an impact this can have, not only to our area, but the whole country, the whole state. Whenever you're talking about putting 25 cents on every dollar of every product that we get from Canada, and we get a lot of products. You know who our largest trading partner is in 2023, 24? Canada. Hopefully, I'm being optimistic here, they'll resolve their differences. We're also a huge exporter to Canada, and they're going to reciprocate, right? We've already had a few premiers say, hey, if you're going to do this, we're going to do that. We don't need to be in a trade war, in a tariff war with our largest, friendliest country and our neighbors to the north.
Another big issue in recent weeks, Homeland Security. Customs looking into closing down dozens of border crossings during evening and overnight hours, 4 of them along the northern New York border with Canada in your assembly district. Are you unhappy about these closings that are going to be coming up, I guess, within a few days here in January?
Unhappy is a kind word. I'm extremely disappointed. I'm upset by it, because the overall effect. We were just talking about economy and our friends and neighbors to the north. A lot of people depend on those crossings, not only to go visit family. It'll affect small businesses as well, because there's quite a drive around. Also affects our commercial. Chateauguay, there's a commercial port there. There are people that go to there are businesses that go to the Montreal port early hours in the morning, late hours at night, to get those products to come back over. It's going to cost them more to come back through. Where do you think that cost ends up? It ends up to the consumer. So if it costs the companies more to deliver that product, it costs us more as consumers in the end. And this will have an effect on our area. I think we need to seriously look at this, reverse that decision for the people and for commerce coming back and forth along the border.